Hello and welcome to another recap episode of the DewatchPod Black Mirror podcast. I am Jürgen Smorgasbord.
And I am Jim with a G, and we'd like to welcome you all back to episode 4 of What's Up with Charlie Brooker? Retrospective.
That's right. And, well, how should I put this? I've lost my train of thought.
We need to announce to our dear listeners that while we are very relaxed and cozy, the podcat is going nuts because there are new boxes in the apartment.
Yeah, that's right, dear listeners. We're podcasting on hard mode. Not only are we an unseemly degree of relaxed and reclined, but also there's a cat going mad and there's a moose on the television. We have built our fortress of Zen, and it might be a bit too much for us.
Amusingly, as we mentioned those two factors, one of them is very interested in the other.
That's right. Now, the concept of this podcast is that Jim has seen Black Mirror and I haven't. And we're watching the seasons in reverse order. Season 7 has just come out and we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, it's going to be reverse order to watching season 7, aka chronologically. But
well,
today,
not chronologically.
Well, it's confusing. Podcast, please do not. No.
Oh, no.
Sorry, I need to get back to the cozy vibe. No, man, do not do it.
Do not yearn for the moose.
He's gonna do it.
He's not gonna do it.
He's gonna do it.
He's not gonna do it.
He is sitting, he is perched, and he's
not
gonna
gonna attack the TV to get to the moose. Look at him, he's peaceful.
So speaking of peaceful, that's not. No, I don't think the segue worked. We have watched season 4.
Alright,
Podcat, please stop. Oh, he's stopping. He's desisting.
He's desisting from attacking the moose. Our television remains safe for another day.
Do you just want to do this for the rest of the cast instead of... It would be a very funny bit. We could release it on April 1st next year.
I mean, I think he's gonna stop now.
Okay. We have watched Series 3. I just saw that it's not called Season 3, it's called Series 3.
Editing Jürgen here. Just to warn you that we discuss gore, violence, and pedophiles in this episode, though not in depth.
And we have some thoughts. I feel like this has been quite interesting for me, because this is far enough back in Black Mirror that I'm kind of in the zone now, where I'm like, I can't believe my memory was actually correct about that. I can't believe they did that.
Well, it's also so far back in time that this season was written before the election of Donald Trump and Brexit. So this is the very tail end of the Obama era of television, and I do genuinely believe that American presidential terms are roughly a good way to categorize Anglosphere TV. And I'm just gonna be very upfront. I have looked over the episodes ahead of time to prepare for the podcast, and I don't really know what ties them together yet.
I felt like I had some thoughts, but I'm too cozy to remember them right now. Shall we dive in, perhaps with our noses first?
That's right. We started the season with Nosedive, which is the episode where a lady gets just completely nuked in her social likability score on, I guess, Instagram, and ruins her life over it, but she has a good time.
Yeah.
Once she's at the bottom.
What if Instagram, but more?
Yeah, but, they might get split off from Facebook, did you see?
Oh, that's very cool. I did not see. Moving on, we have Playtest, where a dude wants to play a game, but he should also call his mother.
Yeah, that's the Call Your Mom episode. So we go from... Charlie Brooker is talking about technology and its social implications to Charlie Brooker thinks this would be a good basis for a horror episode about calling your mom.
Yeah, this is where Charlie Brooker goes, I don't give a shit about social implications. Here's a fucked up tech thing. Ain't that fucked up? And we go, yes,
Yeah, what if a
yes.
spider had a guy's face?
What if a gun, but more?
Yeah, what if aneurysm
Yeah, what if aneurysm?
from going on the computer?
Amen.
Then we have the pedophile episode.
The pedophile episode.
Shut up and dance.
Yeah, I mean, like, if we're gonna make some sort of connection here, I do think there's something about, I guess, social media, going back to Nosedive a little bit.
Maybe.
Because this is about hackers.
It's certainly about online judgment.
Yeah, it's about hackers getting into your jacking off videos and going, we're gonna release this to people, unless you do fucked up things. And then it turns out
You're a pedophile.
Yeah. That wasn't the... I mean, that is fucked up. That wasn't the fucked up thing, but he also kills people and robs a bank. I guess most of it is
He
kind of...
kills like one guy.
Yeah, I guess most of it is kind of chill before the killing thing.
Well, I mean, he robbed
Stressful,
the
though.
bank. It's very stressful. Next up, we have San Junipero, a harsh gear switch to queer utopianism.
Yeah.
Fraught queer utopianism.
It's certainly an interesting switch up, but really, I want to say, marks the point where Charlie Brooker discovers full VR, and that's where things get troublesome.
Yeah, that's... I mean, he already discovers it in
playtest?
In playtest.
But it is, I mean, first of all, I suspect they were written roughly at the same time.
It is interesting that this is because playtest is sort of a trial, right? Because it's like, but you're solo in the VR though. Mm. And then it's like, what if you weren't alone in VR and you could have hot gay sex?
In the 80s.
The main thing that VR seems to be for, according to Charlie Brooker.
Well, hot bi sex in a future episode really depends.
It's very unclear, and he doesn't seem that interested, as we've established. And it only took us 7.5 minutes to get to striking vipers.
That's pretty good for us, I think.
Well,
then we have Men Against Fire, which is an episode. I don't think anytime I've looked back on Black Mirror, I don't think I've ever remembered its existence.
Yeah, it's certainly not one of the most remembered episodes.
It's about, AR.
A
bit, I guess. It's about dehumanization a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I will defend it a little bit, but that at least it tries to be about tech and society together. And that's not something that Black Mirror, despite its presence, or despite its premise being that, it doesn't always do it. So
no,
we take it where we can get it.
Yeah.
And then there's bees.
There's bees, baby.
Sorry, I just really wanted to break the coziness for a moment to shout about bees. So this is again about social media, right? It's very explicitly about social media this time.
It's about social media. It's about mob justice. It's about private justice. It picks up, I guess, a theme of vigilantism for sure.
Looking over these episodes, right before we get into the more analysis here, one thing that strikes me is that this feels, looking over it, a lot of it feels very social media related, and media.
That's 2016, baby.
That is 2016. This is where people were like, oh man, wouldn't it be fucked up if people got addicted to this stuff? And now we just go, yeah. It's not very good.
I have an app on my phone that tells me to stop being on my phone.
How meta. Anyway, the thing that strikes me is, I think you could probably make an argument for all of them being about media in some way, and definitely social media as a big thing here. I feel like Smithereens should be in this season, if you wanted to make it more coherent. Swap out, I don't know, maybe San Junipero for it?
Yeah. I mean, I guess they're sort of two parallel, in my opinion, entirely unrelated strands in this season. Which is it's the VR and AR thread, and it's the social media thread. And I don't think they touch.
I think they touch in one, and I think they kind of touch in one, and it's gonna be men against fire, my dude. The reasoning being like here, because like it strikes me about like the narrative of like dehumanization coupled with AR, one being media, one being like pure technology, right? And I'm stretching it a little bit here. I will be honest about that. I think they could certainly have done a lot more with it. But it does strike me as like a case of like, yeah, this is a way to mobilize public opinion about a war in this case, which I want to say, I feel like like this wasn't the Bush era, but I feel like the Iraq War was still very much on people's minds in Obama times, you know?
Yeah, it was sort of like reckoning, like mildly. And I think it's an interesting point to make that the episode that ties the season together is the most forgettable one.
Yeah, they just kind of don't execute it all right. Because, like, to me, playtest is very, very... Like, you could make a very broad argument about, well, if you think about it, maybe his decision to not call his mum has to do with alienation due to media or something. But that's really stretching it.
Yeah.
I think playtest is just complete. I don't want to call it nonsense, but it's not exactly coherent with anything else in the season apart from here is a VR thing.
No, it's a preamble. It's a preamble of like, oh, what if hell?
Yeah, and hell is the other thing. Alright, like hell is... It's starting to emerge here, right? Like, as a thing. It's not in everything, right? Like, I wouldn't say Men Against Fire is sufficient. Well, no, okay, yeah. Actually, there's the ending where they're like, what if we put you in hell? So, yes, there's hell.
Yeah.
There's honorable hell mention here.
Yeah, it's a preoccupation flashing through rather than a theme being expressed.
Yeah, but, like, playtest is the most obvious hell episode here. San Junipero plays with it a bit, right? It says, what if it was heaven? But also, maybe it's hell for some people.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a thing? And then Nosedive is the, like, hell is other people.
Yes, and I think that's a very interesting thing. Because, like, Nosedive essentially, to me, represents in this way, like, a failed experiment, right? Because Charlie Brooker, very interested in social technology, very interested in technology that puts you in hell. Like, literally, metaphorically, right?
Yeah.
And Nosedive is like, there's clearly a connection, and to a far lesser degree, you can also make that point for Hated in the Nation, though I don't think I would, like, lean on that. And Nosedive does not pull it off, I don't think.
No, I don't think either.
Right, and that's very interesting, because, like, it should be, though.
Yeah, I think the thing that strikes me about Nosedive is just that the solution to it is, what if you don't, though? Here's a system that occupies everything around you. What if you just go, nah? And then the problem is solved, Like, it's even posed to us by Loser Gamer Brother, which is, again, on the topic of weird dudes in Black Mirror. He is certainly a weird dude.
Wow. We love our weird dudes.
But yeah, like, it really does not offer... Because you can create a dystopia in two ways, right? You can use force. You can just say, this hell thing took over the world by force. It shot people who didn't want it, right?
Yeah.
That is kind of like Hated in the Nation. Sorry, I am already forgetting Hated in the Nation. And that's real bad when we are talking about a season with 6 episodes.
It's the most recent episode.
No, it's the second most recent episode. You're forgetting Hated in the Nation. No, sorry. I meant Men Against Fire. I forgot it so hard, I replaced it with another episode title and then forgot I did that. My bad.
We're professional podcast.
I promise this is not a bit. I have a bad brain. Anyway, but the other way you can create dystopia is saying, like it's the Brave New World thing where you go, here's an enticing offer that creates a bad world. Here is the drug that makes you happy forever, and that means people don't read books anymore. I'm not super gonna come to Brave New World's defense here, but at least the structure of it is interesting. And you'd think it is the latter that Nosedive does. But everyone who gets out of the social media is way happier and they can do it very easily.
Yeah. Let me introduce a missing link theory. Because this season might come together quite a bit more if we had another episode exploring that. And that episode could have been San Junipero. But it wasn't. Because he chose to be like, oh, this is nice, maybe.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like San Junipero.
Yeah.
It has hot... Okay, I'm not going to go too far into that. It is very cool. It is nice that it breaks the mold. It is nice that it actually counter-argues the Black Mirror tendency to just be like, everything sucks forever. And just be like, hey, here's a thing that... It might not be like an angelic delivery from up above, but it's good. Or at least it has the potential
you might be able to kiss your wife.
You might be able to
In
kiss your gay
cyberspace.
wife in cyberspace after killing yourself.
Or after killing her on
All such
consensually.
consensually. Yeah, man, you can really do a lot by explaining episodes out of context, huh? But yeah, like it offers a nice counter argument, and it is nice to see Black Mirror examining itself in a way that isn't just meant to be the cynical deconstruction. Black Museum comes to mind on that front. But I think like there is something to be truth said there that this could have, in the context of the entire series, could have offered a different, interesting spin on it, right? Where you do explore that sort of dystopia a bit more.
Yeah. And, like, I think we can sort of also play with the other counterfactual, or, like, more episodes are interested in what if good things, other than exclusively and solely San Junipero, right? Because, like, that is what, like, makes San Junipero stand out. And, like, that situation could be resolved either way by having more episodes go in that direction, or by having San Junipero step in line a bit more. But we have neither of those, so we have sort of the odd one out in that, like, we have an episode that's just, like, interested in the potential for good of technology.
I like San Junipero as an episode. I like it in the context of Black Mirror. I don't think I like it in the context of Season 3.
Yeah, I think I'm coming there as well. Like, I'm struggling to remember. Well, it's a very interesting counterpart to Striking Vipers, because like if you read Striking Vipers as people struggling to come to terms with queer sexuality, which is a part of it, right? Like, it's a fascinating companion piece to San Junipero. Because, like, in one setting, like, a virtual world wins, and in another setting, like, the physical world sort of, like, doesn't win, but it, like, sort of retains its grip.
It retains its
fairly
primacy
solidly.
as, like, this is where you need to pay attention. I think there's also an interesting corollary there where, like, Striking Vipers is, as a background theme, about the dissatisfaction of Earth's, like, suburban normalcy, whereas, I'd say, like, San Junipero goes, it's actually kind of sick to just live.
Yeah.
Like, to be in love and to live, and, you know, you don't have to go on adventures, you don't have to break the simulation to rescue Salma Hayek and whatever, like, you can just be, and that's fine. Like, I wouldn't even say the fact that you go back in the past is kind of, like, pointing that out as, like, you don't need that sort of, like, adventure to be happy. You can just be.
Yeah. And, like, it's very unique, and it's out of place here.
It is out of place. I also want to look at, like, because if we look at social media and perhaps media in a greater sense, I think there are two sort of, like, sub-paths that Charlie Brooker does, right? The one part is people be on their damn phones too much. And that's Nosedive most prominently, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it is also Smithereens, right? Like there is a thing he does where he's just like, yeah. And like it sneaks out in other episodes too, right? There is also the point of social media is like a nuclear bomb. it will kill people. Like, it kills people all the time. And that's where you get hated in the nation. Again, very obvious frontrunner for that. I would even say Men Against Fire to some extent, right? Because it's part of how they dehumanize the enemy.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing with Men Against Fire, and I think where it probably falls short for this season, is like its lack of a social component.
Yeah, it wants to get there, but it just doesn't. I think it forgets itself in the main tech thing too much.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the difficulty Charlie Brooker seems to have a lot of the time, is he wants to do tech and he wants to do social analysis, and he just goes, shit, I've invented this really cool tech thing, let's get into that, and then he kind of forgets the social aspect.
Yeah, and like, I want to like protect our boy here for a second, because like,
it's a hard balance.
It's a hard balance, and like, it is something that like basically the entire like media reporting on this like subject matter like runs up against, and in large part like crashes and fails.
Mm-hmm.
So like, Charlie Brooker is like one among thousands who like run into like, but like social and technology, I want to criticize them, and like, he just sometimes gets distracted by the tech, right? That like, and I think Nosedive kind of works because like, it's very interested in tech on a like tactile level, but it's not interested in coming up with something like particularly fancy.
I think the other thing that also kind of saddens me, because I agree, I think this season, to me, is actually quite promising if I was viewing it chronologically, because I was like, social media strikes me as the epicenter of how do you combine social stuff and tech, right? Because like, especially nowadays, they interact so much in terms of like algorithms, in terms of influencers trying to game the system, in how this like what happens as a result in like stochastic terrorism, in politics, in just like basic harassment and hate campaigns. There's so much here that has this like perfect confluence of the social aspect and the tech aspect. Unfortunately, they don't really go much further with this after this season, right? Like, there's a tiny bit. Like, I would contend at least that, like, you know, Hang the DJ wants to take a look at dating apps. Doesn't really go anywhere with it, but at least it holds it alive. You can make a point about Black Museum having something about like, racism is bad. Discovery, Charlie Brooker, 2017, and that might tie into media. But there's very little. Smithereens is like the one big outlier here, right? And then it comes back a little bit in season 6. But it feels like this is, this feels to me, season 3 feels to me like Charlie Brooker. He's in the mine. He hits his pickaxe on the wall. He goes, yo, there's a gold vein down there. And, the first load he brings up, it's kind of shit. It's really impure, but he's got the vein there.
Yeah, and then, like, an explosion happens, and a man descends an elevator, and he gets distracted.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think basically, like, the election of Donald Trump and Brexit hit this TV show like a fucking truck. Right? Like, it is at that point that he has these ideas that he's, like, drilling at, that he needs to, like, dig deeper into. And suddenly, like, Rachel Maddow is talking about Cambridge Analytica every day for 4 years.
I think that is one aspect. You want to know the sort of unexpected side thing, I think, that comes up around this time? I think Charlie Brooker discovers true crime. Because, like, there's Crocodile, there's a lot, I think there's, like, a lot more, like, sort of crime-focused stuff, a lot more violence and gore. Like, Black Museum is such, like, an emblematic episode in that way, where, like, not only is it about hell, it's about this, like, really gory version of hell.
Yeah, and, like, it sticks to, like, season 6, right? We have episode 2, that's true crime. It's true crime podcaster, or documentary makers, because it never goes to podcasters, actually.
Not specifically. I think I'm going to assume that's in season 7. We haven't watched season 7 yet.
think so. I think he thinks podcasters are beneath his notice. And, I think good on him.
I thought you were going for, I think he thinks podcasters are okay.
No.
No, probably not.
No, Charlie Brooker hates true crime too much. He is going to come after true crime podcasts in season 8. That's my prediction.
I think that's a very strong prediction.
Yeah, because, right now it's still hot. You have Joe Rogan, you have everything. Podcasts are, the cultural conversation. And I don't think, Charlie Brooker likes to jump into the fire.
Yeah.
He likes to,
He likes to look back.
Yeah, he likes to look back. He likes to look ahead. He does not like to live in the moment. Which, to be fair, I think that's good.
Yeah. But yeah, I want to get back to the point about hell for a moment. Because it really does strike me, actually, the more I think about it, the shift here, right? Because you have season 3, if you look at the hells, plural, in this episode, or this in season, we have a lot of very abstract ones, right? We have Guy has, a huge spasm as he leaves, because he didn't call his mom, he dies. Is trapped in this, losing his sanity over and over. We have social media hell. We have Men Against Fire, which is the hell is replaying your horrific actions over and over. And then you get into Black Museum, where hell is when a dude drills into your head and orgasms from it. It's a lot more visceral, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think even moving forward, you have something okay, Macy Day isn't a hell episode, but it's certainly gory. Even Demon 76 is we're gonna bash this fascist's head in with a hammer. That's cool, but it is an interesting shift here, right? As they're hell in season 3 feels so abstract. Hell in season 4 and onwards is image of guts and someone's head being split open, it's I don't know, it strikes me as an interesting shift.
We do have peak hell in season 4 for sure.
Yeah. I do wonder genuinely how much of this is a little bit true crime influenced of here are all the gory details. He stabbed her and ripped open her lungs and feasted on her insides or whatever. I have never listened to a true crime podcast in my life. This is how I imagine they are. I'm sorry.
I'm told there's one that's good.
Okay.
I think Serial that started it, and then everyone went okay, we don't have any journalistic resources, but there seems to be money to be made here.
Yeah, that strikes me as very, very likely. But yeah, I don't know, even the true crime episode, right, is we get to see. I think there's another scene in there where the protagonist's mom is gonna drill someone in the head, isn't there? As part of the serial killer reveal.
Drills are definitely a bit unpleasantly prominent.
I think it's probably the quickest shorthand you can get to make anyone uncomfortable is imagine someone drilling into your spinal cord.
Yeah,
I think
imagine
it's
industrial tools on human body.
Yeah, I think it's a shortcut, right? Because if someone says, imagine if a dude slashed you with a sword, I'd be that'd suck. It doesn't really generate that much of a
It would be kind of cool though.
It would be honorable. I would go to Valhalla. I would feast with the other.
That's right.
Einherjar. My Norse mythology is a bit rusty, but I think that's right.
Sure. That sounds right.
But yeah, so we have hells. This seems to be another hell series. I don't know. There's a lot of hell here, but there's a lot of hell moving forward too. I don't know if this is really distinguishable in amount of helling or obsession with helling that Charlie Brooker is doing. I think it's a hella cool season though. Sorry, that's not true. I don't really like this season, but I wanted to say that.
I'm sort of still stuck on a failure to connect the hell and the social. That fascinates me because to me that seems like things that should meet, but rather than them meeting, they sort of have a near miss and then they diverge. And it's pretty wild.
Yeah, something that strikes me, if I'm trying to think about the hell of social media and stuff like that, one of the things that strikes me, right, isn't like, because I think Nosedive. Look, I know we've talked a lot about how Men Against Fire is very forgettable, but honestly, Nosedive strikes me as the most disappointing episode this season. Because it feels like it had a lot more potential. And like when I think about social media, what I don't think about as being like terrifying to me is the idea of like, oh yeah, you post stuff and people look at it and judge you for it. The thing that strikes me as more terrifying is the idea of having this like constant surveillance of you baked into your devices, right? Baked into the stuff that you currently essentially need to live in our society, right? To have that like constant like, hey, you said something about I don't know, like a sports ski. You were just having a chat with your friend about it. Your phone heard that. Now you have a bunch of ads for it. Or even just stuff that's like, oh yeah, like these social media accounts are set to broadcast this sort of stuff constantly that you do. None of that comes up, right? Like that is not relevant to Nosedive.
Yeah.
And perhaps that is a personal thing for me, but like that, I don't know, like that just strikes me as more inherently scary than sometimes you post stuff on Instagram and people say, that stew you made looks kind of shit.
Yeah. As a point of fact, the like your phone is literally listening to you and advertising to you based on it has been ever traced to like one company's claims, but I don't think they were ever verified. The more the more important element, which I think you as well as I know, of course, is that the big thing is that your phone doesn't need to listen to you to do that shit, right?
Yeah.
Your phone just like has like, you're friends with someone who Googled water skis, like in close proximity to you, texting them or whatever, and it puts together the pieces.
I mean, that's one aspect too. I think it's also just a case of like, hey, we noticed you were Googling job applications. Maybe you need money. Here's an ad for like a payday loans company. Like just predatory stuff like that. Like that sort of stuff can be everywhere. And it strikes me that like, it just strikes me that is not delved into. That's
No, Charlie Brooker doesn't. I think. Okay, so I need to draw a line here between the two of us because you don't have an ad blocker and I do.
I don't have an ad blocker on YouTube, Jorgen. I have an ad blocker.
So the thing is, I think that Charlie Brooker also has an ad blocker. I think genuinely like I think 100% that he does. Like,
wow. Are you saying that he doesn't support his favorite YouTube creators? I sure hope Charlie Brooker donates on Patreon to H-Bomber Guy. I would love to have those two meet. I think that would be a fascinating discussion.
I think Charlie Brooker is like, he is sort of like a weird parallel to like the entire like YouTube media sphere. Like there's chemistry there, and it's
sexual and electrifying. But yeah, like I think one thing to note, right, this is 2016. It might even have been written in like 2015 or something like that.
Yeah, it comes out in October 2016.
Yeah, I think back then, and this is a this is a time where I was but a wee idiot. So I did not have a perfect. Also, I got my first smartphone when I was 18, so there's something that I'm slightly behind in this. But like, something that strikes me about the early 2010s is that when people talked about social media, like it had started spreading to adults, but I still feel like the main topic on the everyday person's mind is like, oh man, kids are gonna get addicted to this stuff. They're gonna get eating disorders. They're gonna like constantly chase likes. And it feels like that's the sort of attitude that comes into Nosedive. It just happens to be about adults. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it is more adult. Like they tie it into like, wouldn't it be wild if you got a discount on your home if you had a good Instagram? Like, but it does still come to the idea of like, what if you got addicted to the prestige and the sort of like glamour of it, not this could make you a fascist if you're a 13-year-old who Googles, how do I get my crush to look at me?
See, the thing is, I got Instagram in 2019 and exclusively to like network with people, not to post or look at posts. I still don't. I never have. So like the entire like Instagram wave of social media is somewhat like alien to me. So the pressure to like perform a lifestyle, to be like a micro influencer, right? To just be like living aesthetically, that's quite distant to me, and this might be a gender thing in like massive part.
I could see it. I mean, I feel like we have to talk about how we must have talked about this in the Nosedive episode, but it is a very gender episode, given that we have as representation of the male gender loser gamer boyfriend,
Brother.
sorry, yes, my bad, loser gamer brother. And man in prison cell who swears a lot are like the two. I guess there's also a guy who is getting married.
Yeah,
but
there's
like,
frat boys.
yeah, but they also don't seem that social media focused. But
The three types of men.
well, yeah, like I think there's something to be said about that.
Yeah. No.
Like I think Charlie Brooker in Series 3, right, conceptualizes social media as three things: a drug, which is Nosedive, as a predatory weapon, which is hated in the nation, and to some extent Men Against Fire as well, and then or I guess more like Shut Up and Dance, and hated in the nation is the like predatory weapon, and Men Against Fire specifically is like a weapon in the tools of a state to wage war in this case.
I'm trying to think. I guess we could like make a minor case for the surveillance aspect in Shut Up and Dance.
Yeah.
But like it's very juvenile, right? Because it's like, oh yeah, you've been hacked by Anonymous.
Yeah,
right,
the famous hacker Anonymous.
And strangely, we do actually get like a tiny bit of like, oh yeah, obviously the government's surveilling you.
Yeah.
In Hated in the Nation, right? But it's not. It's a throwaway like idea.
I think one of the things that strike me about Charlie Brooker, and I think this is a general thing about his writing, is that he is, and I want to say this I am entirely on his side here. He's very anxious about like being invaded, right? Like having no privacy, about having the tendrils of technology or the state or social media worm its way into every aspect of life, right? Like about having no reprieve from that.
Yeah.
Like even San Junipero to some extent is about like, you know, like there is an ominous aspect to being like, yeah, I'm in this like simulation forever. And it's like the idea of death is kind of like actual death is kind of presented as this is a chance to get out of it, to actually have, in this case, like permanent reprieve. And in that one, it suggests that the lack of reprieve is an okay price. But by and large, right, like the idea of like not having yourself to yourself is a big thing in his works, it feels like an underlying anxiety. And because we haven't been talking about it a lot, I think playtest is actually part of that anxiety, right? It's about having the like what if you no longer know when you are free and when you are not?
Yeah, playtest.
What if your mom continues calling you, so you have no reprieve from Sandra?
Playtest is straight up like technology like gets into your brain, and you don't know what's real anymore, which also a link to Men Against Fire again.
Yeah, exactly. Like the idea of like no longer being able to opt out. Like I think this comes back in very interesting ways. Like even humorous episodes like Joan is Awful is a lot about this, right? It's about like there is an invasion of you that can never be undone because of technology.
Yeah, like subtle as a truck.
Subtle as a track for sure, but like still, even like Maisie Day, if we're gonna bring up some low points, like it has, it presents the idea of like, what if there isn't tech, but that invasion still exists? What if you cannot get away?
Yeah, and like looking at it like through the sort of Charlie Day making the corkboard with pittance perspective, I guess like what sort of runs through this episode, the season, is not so much like a particular set of themes, but rather like there's always like 2 or 3 episodes that you can like stitch together with a theme, but it never like all comes together. But I would say, and I guess this is in large part probably a symptom of it just being more episodes. I would say that it is just, there is more connections here, right? That you can like, each episode connects to like maybe 2 or 3 others.
Yeah. I think you can definitely get there.
But what I'm struggling is like finding it cohering to anything.
No, like to me, this season is more defined by just like the underlying anxieties behind the writing.
Yeah.
And I think that is a perfectly fine way to write. I don't think it needs to be connected more than that. It's just interesting.
Well, I want to return to like this episode, this season being the last pre-Trump season.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you could argue perhaps that this season is like these anxieties like sort of boiling and simmering, and they should come to a head, right? This should be the preamble to like all of this being brought together more cogently, but rather than like it being brought together like thoughtfully, like artistically and reflectively, like reality like sort of snaps back and sort of overtakes this attempt of the culture to reflect on what's happening, is like overtaken by developments that are like sensed but not understood yet.
Yeah, I think I can see where you're coming from. I think it is definitely interesting to view like Black Mirror as a project about like, here is Charlie Brooker and his co-writers reflecting on some themes about society, and they're building it up, and then suddenly there's a dragon that shows up in 2016 and breathes fire on everything they've been doing so far.
Yeah, and like you can see like this season, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it doesn't care about race, right? It doesn't.
I don't think so. I mean, it cares about race in Men Against Fire, but like, not real race. Like, it's one of the. It's
no.
Okay,
it's white people being oppressed in the dystopia.
I think this might be the meanest thing I've ever said about Charlie Brooker, but Men Against Fire is very close to Detroit Become Human.
Oh, I was thinking Divergent.
I don't know enough about Divergent, to be honest, but I suppose there's truth about like that sort of brand of dystopia. But just the idea of like, we're gonna talk about like straight up race, right?
Yeah,
like
biological essentialism.
Yeah, biological essentialism. But we're not going to touch upon black people.
Or anything. The biologically essentialized people are white ladies who need protecting.
Yeah, and like, they're not even. I think that, I suppose it's up to interpretation, but there doesn't seem to be any like clear distinguishing signs between the quote unquote roaches and the like villagers we meet, right? Which is like, sure, you can talk about that as like being about the arbitrary nature of racism. Sure, it's unexpected. But yeah, you can talk about it as being like about the arbitrary nature of racism and eugenicism, but it does also feel like it's sidestepping the part where people go, hey, these guys speak a different language, or look different, or wear different hats. Yeah. Get them, right? Which is, it's just one of those things I do think you need to at least conceptualize a bit in your telling of a story about racism.
And I'm thinking of this specifically in the context of Trump, because we have this season going like, eugenics are quite bad, even if they're done to white people. And the next season we have like Black Museum, like, oh yes, racism against black people sure should have you murder the racists in the hell prison.
It is definitely very fascinating to me just how like, and I'm sure this could be reflected among so many other pieces of media, where in the late Obama era particularly, we had people go like, I think there's not enough racism left that we really have to actually look at real racism. I think we can do androids instead. And now I know Detroit Become Human is not from the Obama era, but it embodies that vibe. And I think like Men Against Fire is such an excellent example of like, let's talk about racism in the most abstract sense possible, essentially, while still tying on to the like base ideas of it in a vague sense, right? About like, oh yes, something eugenicism.
And you get an episode that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. It could have. I don't think Man Against Fire had to be about real racism. I think it could have been, if they tied it into like actual media dehumanization, I think that could have been its own thing.
Yeah,
but I think it had to be about something.
Yeah, Men Against Fire is a near miss, right? Because there is like enough weird shit going on.
Yeah, like it's one of those things that to me, like, they had a lot of different anchor points that they could have chosen to get there. Like, there's a lot of episodes where I'm like, okay, you are clearly about this. If you wanted to make it stick, you had to change this. Here, they could have just been like, yeah, you could have made it more explicitly about race. You could have made it more explicitly about media. You could have made it more explicitly about, like, war and, like...
You could have made it more explicitly about sex-stream mind control.
And yeah, okay, yeah, no, that's a very fair point. About having sex with 12 clones simultaneously.
It's fascinating because, like, there's... Like, it is the most, like, a bunch of ideas are hinted at and none of them are remotely pursued. Like, I think Men Against Fire might be the most that episode, because the ideas that are hinted at are also quite thin.
It keeps, like, scratching at good things, but it's like, it's walking between all of the different openings and going, nah, not that one. Not this one either. Like, honestly, I want to say one thing about Men Against Fire, which is that it strikes me... You know how, like, sometimes people go, like, oh, yeah, Freud would have a field day with this one, you know, as referring to, like, works of art with, like, a weird sort of, like, incest sub-theme or something like that. This one, B.F. Skinner would have a field day with this one. Contingent rewards, conditioning, ooh, it would have been sick.
Yeah, no, and it's so empty that you cannot argue that any of these themes were foregone in favor of anything.
No.
It's just like, it was just spread. It wasn't even spread too thin, right? It was just a bit too hollow.
I think it's really interesting to examine this season from one specific perspective, which is about, like, the fullness of each episode, right? Like, because I want to say, Hated in the Nation, San Junipero, and I would probably even say Nosedive, feel like they go through the beats and do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
To different extents successfully, but they do the thing. Then you have what we just discussed with Men Against Fire, which is it keeps looking at stuff and not going anywhere. Meanwhile, you also have Playtest, which looks at nothing and does nothing.
Well, no, it says call your mom.
It does say call your mom. Like, but that one strikes me because it's empty in the complete opposite direction, where it doesn't go towards any theme.
It says something dumb forcefully.
Yeah, like it has confidence. It's not particularly earned, but because, like, Men Against Fire feels very unconfident.
It's the most like A24 the monster was trauma shit. Right? Like, it's... Yeah. It is so fucking on the nose, and it doesn't do it with anything, like, substantive.
Like it's so fascinating to me, because just, again, like Men Against Fire, you can feel it to some extent as you're watching it, that it doesn't know where it wants to go. It feels so inconfident. It just kind of gestures and goes like, that'd be scary if we talked about this thing more, huh? Whereas Playtest is just like, hell yeah, dude. Hell is a spooky spider dream.
And you're there because you didn't call your mom.
Get him, dude. Like, it's just there.
It goes so hard for no reason.
I know.
And Hideo Kojima's in it.
And, like, I want to say, I think Shut Up and Dance is kind of in between them, right? Where it's got a few different things it's going for, and it gets closer to doing something with them. I want to even call it a mild-ish success-ish.
Oh, I'm still a hater.
I know you're a hater, but, like, I think it does say something about, like, vigilantism and, like, pointing out bad groups of people to hunt, and you can do whatever you want with these designated bad people, which, like, I'm not gonna defend pedophiles. As we crested the 50-minute mark here.
And another thing.
Obviously they are bad, but I think it's an interesting analysis of, like, how much are we gonna dive into punitive justice, right? Like, how much are we willing to, like, just inflict pain on others for our own moral feel-goodness?
And I think this is a very, like, it is, like, I think, without question, by far the twistiest episode, right?
Yeah. Well, it definitely has the most meaningful twist.
Well, it has the most meaning-altering twist.
Sure, yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
And I have to say, though, I don't think this season is otherwise that heavy on twists or the other foibles we've identified.
Well, okay. Because we need to talk about one thing, which is that there were a couple of twists that we did not realize were supposed to be twists, right?
Remind me.
Well, primarily Men Against Fire, right? Where they're like, I think the first time they said roaches, you went, roaches are probably people, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, and it then tosses, check it out, roaches are people. And we have the protagonist take like 3 minutes to process this. He's not very smart, but also I do think he still is audience stand-in.
Okay, I hate to, like, pump the brakes, but, like, what was going on there? Did they think that we were going to be surprised by that?
I think, okay, I don't think Charlie Brooker is a bad person. I don't think he's a misanthrope, but I think he has bouts of thinking people are really, really stupid. I think Men Against Fire is the most obvious one of that. I think Black Museum is another one, to be honest. But yeah, like, even Hated in the Nation, I suppose, is the interesting thing of, like, here's 2 twists, or, like, here's the mysteries, and then we reveal them instantly, which, like...
We reveal them fast, yeah. No, and it's, like, God, like, Hated in the Nation is, like, structurally fascinating. And I definitely don't think it falls in the twist category. But yeah, no, like, I guess we have just, like, with Men Against Fire, we have a new thing of, like, oh no, this is bog standard sci-fi shit.
Yeah.
This is a Star Trek episode.
I think if we're looking at twists straight, like, Nosedive doesn't have a twist at all, I think.
No. Well, yeah, no, it's like... Nosedive is interesting because its sort of shock factor comes from how hard it, like, punches the accelerator, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you have Playtest, which...
Oh, no, that's a twist.
Playtest is a twist. It's about 5 twists, and they all make each other meaningless, essentially.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a twisty horror schlock, you know?
San Junipero has, like, I guess the early twist, but, like...
They're old.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, during the simulation, but sure. They're old is also a way you could put that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I mean, I very much respect the way it does its twist.
Yeah.
It's like, it's fine. It's hinted at, and it's revealed.
It's mid-story, it's moving things forward.
Yeah, it's actually, like, it does have some meaning to it about, like unveiling the world, and it doesn't feel like Charlie Brooker is haunching down next to you on the TV couch going, you see what I did there? Isn't that sick?
He's watching you with anticipation, waiting for you to get it.
Okay. I know I've said some positive things about Charlie Brooker today and some negative things.
He must be terrible to watch TV with.
I was gonna say that I think you have to, if you're gonna watch TV with Charlie Brooker, you have to find out if he's watched the movie before, and if he has, bail, dude. Like, just don't do it.
I would do it for the experience.
I would too. But yeah, okay. Do you want to go through? I have a very important topic. Favorite, like, weird dude in the season. I want to nominate adultering man in Shut Up and Dance.
I don't know. I think he's too prominent.
I think he might be, but I love him.
I was actually thinking about this like 40 minutes ago. If he counts as a weird dude, and I was like, nah.
I guess
he's
he's essentially the deuteragonist, I suppose.
Yeah, no, like
Damn.
He might be a bit of a precursor, really.
I suppose.
Right, but like, I think it sort of speaks to like the it speaks to something a bit sad to me that Charlie Brooker's like, no, no, I love this energy. I wanted to flash through for like 5 minutes of the episode tops. And like, now that we have confirmed question mark that Jerome Flynn does not have horrific politics, um, like I feel kind of bad for him, that he like he has this role, and then Charlie Brooker's like, that's too much of the cool dude. Yeah, no,
there weren't that many cool side characters, I feel like. I mean, like, Loser Gamer Brother.
yeah, that's like the main one, really.
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing. Actually, you know what? Let me look at what the cast says for Nosedive. Like, what's the other mentioned one? Because that's the main character.
We have like a sad nerd who's chasing a lesbian in San Junipero, and a sad
true.
jock who's chasing a lesbian also in San Junipero.
Well, no, that
I
one's
think-
bisexual. Don't
I
bisexual
don't-
erasure.
I think they're both unspecified, actually.
No. I don't remember her name. Cool lady is bisexual. She explicitly says she's into men too.
Oh, yeah, no. I was saying we don't know if the white one is... Oh, no, I think the white one is actually a full-on lesbian.
Why do you use the word full on, Jorgen? Are you implying bisexuals are half?
No, they're like 200% minimum.
Hell yeah. That's right. Dear audience members, bisexual people are better.
That's right.
But yeah, no, like, I do like the nerd. Like, he's respectful.
Yeah, no, so we do have like, I think that actually I have to retract the nerd. It's the horny jock. That's more of that guy. Because the nerd is just like he's too sympathetic. He doesn't bring enough like weird guy energy.
You might be right. The only problem is I think the jock might be too prominent.
The jock is too forgettable.
He's both. But
Yeah.
like, like when we talk about other weird guys, we have like, we have the roommate from Macy Day, for example.
Yeah, no.
And he's like in 2 scenes and does nothing. Like, he has no purpose in the
We
story.
have the dad from Rachel, Jack, and Ashley.
Like, I think fundamentally what we need to look at this from is like the weird guy needs to be completely removable from the story without altering any beat, essentially.
Okay, so immediately contradicting you, but I have another pitch.
Okay.
Which is that hated in the nation's antagonist is our weird guy.
No, I think he's too edgy. I think he's too he's too much of an incel. Because I wanna talk about, like, I was gonna say, I have a pitch in Hating in the Nation. The guy whose entire purpose in the story is to get himself killed. The guy who like types death to the bad guy and then gets fucking executed.
He's a bit too... He's not flamboyant enough.
He's not flamboyant enough, but I just love that his
The
purpose...
Prime Minister.
You're right! You're actually so right, Jorgen! The Prime Minister is amazing. Yeah, okay, you know what? I have to agree. Yeah, I think it's the Prime Minister.
I think that's my top 2 guys. Gamer Brother, Prime Minister.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I think it's sad we didn't get
Is it
more.
always men?
I think it's always men. Has there ever... Okay, sorry. I'm just gonna go through them.
We cannot go through all the Black Mirror.
Is Salma Hayek in Joan is Awful a weird guy?
A tiny bit. Okay. Actually, we do the trucker in...
Oh no, she's too normal.
No, she's too plot relevant.
She's the wise mentor.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, no, I think it might be just men.
Yeah. Man, that says something about how gender of you, Charlie Brooker. How gender.
In a very odd and interesting way. Yeah. I do, to be honest, definitely with the Gamer Brother, would probably be improved by a gender flip.
Yes. You are so right.
Just weird gamer sister, perfect. Art, Emmy, supporting actor.
I also think it would do a lot for the like gender vibes of that episode that are just like slightly uncomfortable. Because it is probably the most women be shopping episode Charlie Brooker has written.
And genuinely, like having a gamer sister throwing a wrench, perfect. You should have that. You fucked up, Charlie. Let us write your episodes.
VTuber sister.
Too early.
You're right, but imagine.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my god.
I think it's actually too far, though. I think it just has to be a regular slob.
Okay, I will say one more thing. Weird guy in Crocodile is the hamster, and we don't know their gender.
No! I reject this thesis. Before we close out, and we're already a bit over.
Yeah.
But before we close out, I think we do have a few minor points to close out. Because this season, no affairs, I don't think. No prominent
That
ones.
sounds right to me.
Right? And, Charlie, you're not wearing your heart on your sleeve.
I mean, like, you can definitely make the way too invasive and sad point that maybe he got cheated on between season 3 and 4, or had an affair. No, Shut Up and Dance. Shut Up and Dance is heavily...
Oh, yeah.
It's not a source of drama interpersonally, apart from at the very end, but yeah, there's a little
Well,
bit.
he doesn't get there either.
Yeah, I suppose.
But no, I think, like, that's a fucking interesting parallel, like, because our main affair episode, Striking Vipers.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Beyond the Sea.
I don't think about Beyond the Sea that
No,
much,
that's fair.
thankfully. Like, I just want to draw, like, a straight line from our affair boys there to Jerome Flynn in Shut Up and Dance.
Uh-huh.
Like, what a fun juxtaposition.
In what sense, Jorgen?
Well, they're cool and getting there, and he's sweaty and ends up driving a teenage pedophile.
He is one of the sweatiest men in all of Black Mirror.
Which I think is an accomplishment.
It is. I think Smithereens' protagonist is also very sweaty.
It feels right. But yeah, not that much affairing.
Not that many sex scenes in general, I want to say. Like, I don't know
like
if any.
this season.
Well,
is,
I guess. Man
this
Against
season
Fire.
is generally not that interested in relationships, like romantic relationships.
No, it's got like the marriage as a background in Nosedive.
Yeah.
It's got it as like a conditioning thing in Man Against Fire. I mean, certain San Junipero is the standout, right, where it's all about their relationship.
Yeah. No. God.
But it's a very varied season that way, I want to say.
Yeah. No. You're right.
It feels like there's fewer things that just apply to all episodes, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. For more serious points, I want to ponder, like, how like crestfallen is this season? How much is this season just sort of mad about the state of things and depicting it in a spiteful and crestfallen way?
I think there's an interesting thing where it does feel very cynical, but it also feels very much like these are things that may pass. Like these are things you can rebel against.
Yeah.
Like Nosedive has it in spades. San Junipero has a way of being like, okay, the system is what it is, and it's fine. Like, in this specific sense, we can make it work for ourselves. Yeah. Hated in the Nation has, like, things are gonna get worse, and then there will be a cleansing. There will be a reckoning that will change things. And that's a very interesting revolutionary vibe, because it definitely does not suggest that the reckoning is good.
No,
but
which I like.
Yeah, like, I think it's a very realistic take in a certain sense. Robot bees murdering things aside.
Yeah.
But it has a very, like, balanced view on that. Playtest that we can't even really fucking talk about. I want to say, like, Men Against Fire is the only one that really says like, here's the system, it's going to continue. But there is still rebellion possible within it to an extent for a while.
Yeah, no, and it's, like, quite alien, right? It's, like, a very, like, this is not our world, this is a fictional bad world to tell us how not to do things.
Yeah. It feels like it's the world beyond the pale. Right?
Yeah, no, like, And I think there is like a certain sense of like if you and this is quite uncharitable, but I need it for the parallel. If you read the season as an angry man ranting,
Yeah.
there, like, I think it makes sense in the time frame that like the angry man, the archetypal angry man ranting of 2016, like is has purpose, right? Is like I hate Barack Obama or whatever. Or, I hate the system, we need to change things. Like, whatever their issue is, they think they can win. Whereas in, like, the later seasons, especially season 6, I think, is the peak of this, the angry man ranting is a lot sadder and not any less angry.
Yeah, like this isn't, if we're gonna personify it as a rant, is someone like with his middle finger up shouting, "You're not gonna get away with this forever," and you're like, everyone is gonna pay hell for it,
Yeah, and in the distance, a truck is accelerating towards them.
A little.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's ooh.
I think that's very interesting. I think it's for as much as I kind of dislike the individual episodes of this season, I do kind of like that vibe of like this, like it just feels very balanced in the sense of like things will be bad, but it will not go on forever.
Yeah.
And who knows what's going to happen after that, but this particular badness is time limited.
Yeah, no, like it is very of its time. And yeah, no,
Yeah, I don't know. I found it a very interesting series to analyze. Not good, but
Yeah, no, like I do want to also highlight that we have just like, I don't know if this is nascent here or if it's like just an ebb in a larger ebb and flow, but we do have like playtest as like, oh yeah, no, we're just gonna do a genre episode, and I don't think it's worth our time.
nah.
And like what's up with that?
I mean, like, it's Rachel, Jack, and Ashley too, but horror.
Yeah, I mean, a metalhead. Like we and
God.
Crocodile, right? We have this sort of like nascent, like, because like the later seasons, like seasons 5 and 6, I don't think they have any genre episodes.
I mean, Rachel, Jack, and Ashley too is in season 5.
Oh shit. But like, I guess season 4 is really the peak then.
Yeah, I'd say so too. Like, it's the one where it seems like Charlie Day is the most like experimenting with new formulas.
Did you just call Charlie Brooker Charlie Day?
You did that earlier. I didn't.
Oh no,
I chose to let that pass, Jordan.
I was talking about Charlie Day.
Who's like from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah. He's the guy with the corkboard.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I was referencing that specific meme.
Oh, I see. You primed me.
I did prime you. But yeah, no, so like I just want to like flag here, this episode is here, it doesn't do anything. All of this shit is filler and I hate it.
Yeah.
I just hopefully it doesn't show up before or after, but like I just like we have seen like it go back in our time series, and like it's such a waste of our time.
I think Playtest is genuinely the episode I respect the least out of any Black Mirror episode. And I know it's going up against Macy Day, but Macy Day at least tries to say something about social media. I think it's worse in terms of enjoyment and like a thing you're watching, but at least it tries something. Like, Playtest is just like, it could have been like a 10-minute short,
Playtest is actually my favorite of the genre episodes.
Okay, that's...
And I hate all of them, to be clear. But like,
That's
I
terrifying.
hate the others more. But yeah, no, just completely I guess. Welcome to talking angry men ranting. Talking about angry men ranting. One more foible I think we need to like just put some flags into is how much do we care about technology from episode to episode?
I think this is a pretty good season for that, honestly.
Yeah, no, we start strong with Nosedive.
Yeah.
Which
Playtest is
which is a
playtest.
phrase that I'm sure has never before been said. Playtest, it's just a plot
It's just
thing.
technology.
Yeah.
But like in a bad way.
Shut up and dance?
I want to say decently.
Yeah, but not that interested in technology in either way, which is interesting. But it is quite interested in phones and surveillance.
Yeah.
So, shaky, but at least it's not just a plot device. San Junipero?
I'd say fully. Like you kind of...
San Junipero does, like, both at full speed.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that actually. Like, I just feel like on one hand it is about a relationship, and on one hand it is also just about like technology, and I think it fuses them pretty well.
Which, like, that's a rare one.
Yeah, because you could tell stories about an old person facing death / eternal life in VR, and you could tell a story about 80s lesbians. They do not have to be the same episode. They work in the same episode,
Yeah,
but they
no,
do not have to be.
And, like, it's interested in the technology. The technology is heavily a plot device, right? It's transformative. It does stuff. It's interested in the technology also for its own sake. So, great marks once more for San Junipero. Men Against Fire.
I want to say yes as well. I think it's very interested in the technology. It's just the technology is kind of stupid.
Yeah,
Like, they don't
I think.
interrogate it. It's just like... it's kind of... Okay. It strikes me as Mass Effect, right? Where it's like, it's very interested in what the technology does. It's not so much interested in interrogating, like, what would be the other consequences of this, or how does it work, etc., etc.
Yeah, which I guess fair enough.
It's just odd, because, like, in sci-fi, when you do that, you usually do it to explain why you have laser beams, because laser beams are cool. Here, there aren't any laser beams, it's just a weird tech thing.
Yeah, and, I guess it just falls short in general, so it's no surprise that it sort of, like, stumbles on this front.
It doesn't strike me surprising.
And
Hated in the Nation has
Yeah.
robot bees.
Yes, and the robot bees are not core to the plot, right? It's interested in social
Yeah.
technology.
Yeah, like,
So
they could
it has both,
I suppose, yeah.
but unlinked.
Yeah. Despite the linkage being the main point of the
Yeah,
mystery.
no, like...
Yeah. No, that's...
The episode would work entirely fine with, like, poison.
Yeah. Or, like, a man with a gun shoots them.
Or, like, a man with a gun and then a man with a nuke. Like, it's fine.
It really strikes me as robot bees.
Okay.
I guess there's precision for when
Yes,
the last
and
station.
that's actually quite interesting, because the precision of killing, like, that's a myth.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
But
bad
it
one.
has to be there for the purposes of this, right?
Yes.
Like, but the thing is, I think the robot bees are entirely interchangeable, right? Like, you could have just been like, oh yeah, in this future, people wear this brain chip. Hacker
Yeah.
Man finds a brain chip and makes it go boom. Like,
Yes.
which is very cyberpunk.
But, like, thinking specifically in terms of, like, modern, like, war on terror, modern conflicts, like, right, there is this fantasy being sold that, like, oh, yeah, no, we have these drones and we can be very precise. No, you're shooting a Hellfire missile.
Yeah.
And you're hitting, like, 5 people minimum.
Also, like, I feel like we already did discuss the idea in the Hated in the Nation episode about it clear that these bees are clearly the best weapon of war that has ever been made in every respect.
Terrifying.
Yeah. They beat the UK military,
Well,
like, in the episode.
well...
Are you implying the UK military isn't very good, or what is this?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay, well, yeah. That's
I
fine.
mean, they're...
They can get the Falklands.
We're not officially taking a position at a podcast. This is just Jim.
I am.
You can find
I
Jim
think the
nowhere
bees-
on social media.
I think the bees should get the Falklands. I think that's the compromise solution I've come up with.
It's not warm enough.
They're robots. They don't need heat.
Well, they're solar powered.
The sun still shines in places that aren't very warm, Jorgen.
Yeah, but not enough.
Alright, well, on that note, shall we take us out?
Yeah, no. I guess just to, like, summarize our thoughts a bit, like, this season is a bit too big to tie together or a bit too scattered to tie together. And it doesn't tie most of its ideas together that well. It sort of bumps into them. It bumps them together more and less successfully, but like
No,
I can't extract an arc from this.
not really, no. But next time, we will be going to White Christmas. Merry Christmas, y'all.
right.
Neither when we are recording this, nor when you are seeing this, it will probably not be Christmas.
No, most likely not, unless we really do some scheduling madness.
That would be wild. But
No.
this coming episode is 74 minutes long. So it's a little intimidating, but it is like a special episode, so fair enough. I wanna point out the main character is known as Matt Trent. Extremely American name to me.
British character?
Probably. I think so. Oh, well, I guess we'll see.
Well, see you next week,
And
dear listeners.
continue being cozy, y'all. Yeah.
Do you think we managed to remain cozy for
No,
this
not at
episode?
all.
I did sort of slink further and further into the couch and occasionally gazed lovingly at the moose on TV.
They were very good me's.
Beautiful things, you know?
Yeah.
But
We
yeah,
shall see you then.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for suffering with us or through us through season 3.
Yeah.
The next season, actually, we need to flag this. The next season is going to be the first BBC season.
I think so, yeah.
Like this was the final Netflix season,
Yeah.
and we don't know what that means yet because we have only seen Netflix seasons.
That is true. I will be very intrigued.
Yeah, no, looking forward to that. And we'll find out sooner or later what changed with Charlie Brooker.
Yeah.
And with that note, see you on the other side.
Bye.
Bye.